Yeah, what's up? How old are you?
41.
Do you support Trump?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. What's your birth year?
83.
Okay. So why do you support Trump?
First, let me ask you, why did you go so easy on that last guy?
Why did I go so easy on the last guy? What do you mean?
It sounded like you were not as harsh as you are with other people.
Just being trying to be nice and typical.
Okay. Did you say, why did I support Trump? Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
So the first time was just like something different. Hillary was kind of unlikable. There was like her turn kind of vibe. Just see what happens. And then I think his term got really stymied by COVID, but I still liked some of the smaller things he was able to do before COVID, like foreign policy kind of stuff.
So if he goes into a war with Iran, would you still support him?
Mm, yes, I think so.
Why?
Um, so I'm not an anti-interventionist. I'm okay with war. I was in the military, um, so I know like Iraq was this whole like it was a lie to get into it and stuff like that. But I still kind of support going in to remove bad leaders, dictators, I guess.
What was the lie they used?
Oh, WMD.
Weapons of mass destruction. I'm confused. What are they doing now? What was their justification now?
That they were enriching uranium
Weapons of mass
to have
destruction?
uh, to make weapons of mass destruction. That they were close. Yeah,
Okay.
you're confused about that?
No, no, no. Like the point I'm just saying is it's the same justification. And do you believe it this time?
Mm, I believe the 60%.
What do you mean?
They said they had enriched it to 60%.
That's nowhere near nuclear weapons.
Yeah. So I don't think there needs to be nuclear weapons to invade.
Okay, so it's not about nukes. So then what is it about?
Israel,
What about Israel?
Iran's hostility towards Israel.
Watch this.
I think
Do you support limiting funding for Ukraine?
no.
So you think we should have continued funding to defend Ukraine?
Yes.
Okay. So then you must disagree with Donald Trump's foreign policy because he literally gave more power to Putin and he got rid of our ability to defend Ukraine.
I do disagree with what he's done with Ukraine.
Yeah, so wouldn't that be a huge reason to disagree with him? Like that
Huge?
like
Not
that's
really.
like isn't Russia one of our biggest enemies?
They have been,
Okay. Do, do
but
we
I
do we
mean,
do we
Donald
have
Trump is.
do we have an agreement with Ukraine to defend them given that they are invaded?
I think we do. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have any of that with Israel when it comes to this conflict that they've started?
Do we have a formal agreement with Israel? I don't know.
To defend
I
them, given that they've been invaded. Wait, they weren't even invaded. They were the ones who caused it. So what the hell are we doing here? Why are we supporting an offensive war on Israel's behalf, right? That Israel started, but we're not defending Ukraine from being taken over by Russia.
So Israel doesn't need us to defend them, so we don't need to have that agreement.
Oh, okay. So then, if they don't need us to defend them, why are we involved?
Are we involved? How are we involved?
Well, the Trump's thinking about getting involved.
Oh, he's
Trump.
thinking about it. So you're not involved, is what you're saying.
Well, technically, I think he already did involve himself because he said that the U.S. specifically had control over the airspace in Iran. I think he's technically already involved.
That's no, I don't agree with that.
Really, the U.S. having control over the airspace within Iran, that isn't going to war with them?
The U.S. does not have control of the airspace over Iran.
Really? Isn't that what Donald Trump tweeted out?
Yeah.
So he lied.
Yes, he lied.
Why would he do that if Iran knows that's false?
It's like boisterous talk. Body
Come
talk.
on. Come on.
Well,
That, that's
Do you
ridiculous.
do you think Trump really thought we had control of the airspace over Iran?
If he tweeted that, probably. I genuinely think that Donald Trump's a pathological liar, but I don't know why he would say this. I can lie about that. Because that would that would make him look really weak on the world stage.
Do you think so? I don't think so.
I do.
Uh,
If he says
like
the U.S.
somebody-
has control and they don't have control at all, that
I
looks
think
like
Israel
he's weak.
has control.
No, he said the U.S.
I think he said we. He didn't say the U.S.
He said we, and then said no one does it better than the good old USA.
But he was also talking about American-made arms that we give to Israel.
No, he didn't specifically say the things that we gave. He said we.
Hold on. But he
Yeah.
said American-made arms, right? And are you saying what Israel stole them?
I gotta go and find it. Do you want me to go find the tweet?
Yeah, sure.
No, it's gonna take me a minute. Bro, why does it say no truths? Okay, I don't care. He said
Bro,
it. You know what he
So
said.
what's your source? What's your source? Trust me, bro. No, I'm just kidding. So I know he said it, but I also think he said it.
I've literally shown it on live before. I just want to let you know.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I remember the tweet said like American-made weapons.
God, he's gonna make me look it up. I hate this guy. I got you. Images.
Do you want to talk about something else then?
There we go. We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Iran had good sky trackers and other defensive equipment, and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived, and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than the good old USA.
Yep, so American stuff, and nobody manufactures stuff better than the good old US of A.
That's US being involved. Annie, thank you so
Well,
much for the $20.
because-
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Maybe you did. Thank you so much.
The US being involved by manufacturing weapons and equipment does not make the US involved.
Was the US involved in the Russia-Ukraine war?
Ooh. Say no.
Dude, come on.
Hmm.
Dude, we obviously know that the US was involved in that. Come on, dude. By
Well, hold on.
proxy. You don't.
So the whole
you
point
don't
of
think
being
you're
by
involved if
proxy-
it's by proxy? That's like saying
the
that's
point of
like
being by
that's like saying
proxy is you're not
wait, hold on,
involved.
hold on. I just want to clarify. That's like saying Palpatine wasn't involved in the Clone Wars.
I don't watch Star Trek.
Star Trek.
No, I'm just fucking around.
Oh, dude, fuck this, bro. I'm so I'm no way, dude.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
Dude, I can't
but I
believe
mean-
you just said that.
The point of proxy wars is to not be involved. So in that case, what you're saying is we're already at war with Iran because they have proxies. They support some kind of rebels that we fight.
You know, the same thing was true about Israel.
What, they support rebels that we fight?
Yeah, they've supported well, not just rebels. We're not the fucking. I mean, you don't want to be the empire, right? right? Like you, I mean, are you, do you think rebels are bad or something? Like I don't know. I say that. Like are you saying that like they've supported terroristic organizations, right? Because those terroristic organizations have also been supported by the state of Israel as a response to the PLO.
Okay.
Okay, again, like we just why the fuck are we defending Israel's offensive wars? Like why are we involving ourselves offensively in their conflict? Like I think that's horrible. You know, if we're gonna involve ourselves in any conflict, it would have made sense to involve ourselves within Russia, Ukraine, which is not what Donald Trump's doing.
So I agree with you on both the Israel and the Russia Ukraine. So
Okay.
when I'm talking about the
Wait,
foreign
if
stuff,
you agree with me on both, then why'd you vote for Donald Trump?
so I think I told you like the first time it was just something different, and second time, one, it was stymied by COVID, and two, the foreign policy stuff that I liked was like the USMCA, and it was more the way
Oh
he
God,
treated
dude.
our friends and less the way he treated our enemies, like
Okay.
pushing them to get tough. I also
Okay.
liked him getting out of the Iran deal.
Okay. I just want to let you know he went back on the USMCA because he
Really
imposed
went back
tariffs
on
on Canada and Mexico.
it.
Yeah, so he went back on the USMCA. I actually don't disagree with you. I actually think USMCA was not bad. Like that's actually like one of the things where I was like, yeah, it's not even that bad. It's actually pretty decent. But like when it comes to the deal, I mean, he went against it.
He did, yeah. So the tariffs are a little bit silly. I think it's a negotiating tactic. That's why he goes back on the tariffs too.
If it's a negotiation tactic, why is he renegotiating the USMCA if it's so good?
I didn't know that he was renegotiating the
Understand it.
USMCA.
That's okay. Well, I mean, that would be the logical entailment of your position that if he's imposing tariffs as a renegotiation and he had a trade agreement already with Canada and Mexico, if he's imposing tariffs on them, that would be to renegotiate the deal that he already established, the USMCA.
I think for U.S. or Mexico, or yeah, Canada and Mexico, I think maybe someone like Peter Navarro convinced him that trade deficits are a bad thing all the time,
Jeez,
and
dude.
he just kind of run with that.
Yeah,
But
no,
I
he
think
doesn't.
the
I
tariff,
don't even think he knows what a trade deficit is.
probably not, but yeah, the tariff I think is more for people that are not Mexico and Canada, and it kind of just applied to Mexico and Canada maybe because he thought he could
Didn't
get
he
some
do
more
that?
out of them.
Didn't he do that like first? He could get some more out of them. I thought
Yeah,
he already had enough with the USMCA. And like again, when he's doing this with our allies, he's destroying relations with our allies. He's not making our relations better. He talked about annexing Panama, Greenland, Canada. He wanted to go and take over Gaza, right? After ethnically cleansing the Palestinian population with no right to return.
okay, so I think the annexations of Canada and Greenland, I think it's a joke. I think that's like a giant troll still. Uh,
Why would you do that as president? That's fucking unhinged. Don't you agree that's unhinged to do as president? Like joking about fucking annexing your allies?
I think he has changed the idea of what is normal for a president, and I think that's
In a
part of
bad
the.
way. In a bad way, not in
Well,
a good way.
it's subjective, but
Ah, well, what's your subjective opinion? I would hope it's in a bad way.
okay, yeah, it's in a bad way, but uh, but as far as the relations with our allies, I don't necessarily think that's bad.
Okay, how so?
I think he's kind of pushing them to do more, to stop relying on us so much.
In what way?
So like the JCPOA, the U.S. played a huge part of that. We didn't get rid of the deal; we just pulled out of it, and the other countries didn't want to step up, so that's why it's effectively dead. I think it's still in effect till October this year or something.
I'm actually not as familiar. What is that?
The Iran deal.
Oh, yo, is that the specific name for the nuclear deal?
Yeah.
It's a good thing he pulled out of the nuclear peace agreement. That's what you're saying?
Hold on. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying that when we pulled out, our allies had the chance to keep it afloat, and they didn't. And that's kind of what he's doing with other stuff with our allies, with the like NATO and so on.
Here you're like, dude, you know what? Trump should have not shown up for it, but our allies should have. Dude. Do you see the hypocrisy there?
No, I think we've been showing up for it for so long, and like proportionally, like a lot more than everybody else. Like, why do we have to support these guys like more than other countries combined?
That was the U.S. deciding to spend that much on the military. Not all of what we spend is on NATO. I don't know what you're talking about. And also, NATO's like mainly hit its 2%, and that was like heavily done under Biden.
I don't believe you about it being heavily done under Biden.
Okay, well, you can live in another reality if you'd like.
Okay, but I mean, still, is I don't know. Do we pay 2%?
We pay well over. We pay 3.5.
Yeah. Okay.
We spend way too much.
So he wants the other countries to
Caitlin,
spend
thank
more.
you for the 5 Canadian. Thank you. They said, I don't think MAGA realized how seriously Canadians took the annex threats. There's a huge boycott, and even cons here hate the United States. And they said, as a U.S.
Okay, so
citizen in Canada.
he might have taken it a little too far. But I think that's what happens when you troll. Like you get a reaction and then you just keep going.
And you think that's acceptable to do as president? Like, genuinely, like, can you imagine if this happened with any other fucking president, what the media would look like? And it wasn't just like
Some no.
one of the things that they did. If any of the presidents did this, can you imagine Joe Biden did this? Can you imagine Barack Obama did this? Can you imagine even fucking Bush did this?
So I think we do that like internally, like our politicians do that to other politicians in the U.S. I don't think any of the other presidents would have done it, but again, this is
Yeah, they
talking
wouldn't
about
have done
Trump
this.
being some-
Whoa.
This is Trump.
Wait, they wouldn't have done this. Maybe that's a fucking
Correct.
point in of itself. You know, maybe it's not presidential to threaten to annex your neighboring country who's your ally.
So I've said this before, but Trump is something different. And that's why I went with him the first time. And just because it's something that we would consider unpresidential because no other president has done it or would do it, doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
So you don't think it's a bad thing to threaten to annex your neighboring country, which is an ally of yourself, that destroys the relationship that you have?
I don't think it's a bad thing to do something that another president wouldn't do.
It's not.
Whether
It's
the
not just another
specifics-
president wouldn't do. It's that on top of the horrible nature of it. It's that this is a difference in norms of what we've seen practically ever. It's incredibly unpresidential. It's
So I
not
think we need to
professional at all.
redefine what presidential means.
Yeah, wait,
But
yeah. Yes, presidential definitely would include not threatening to fucking annex your allied countries. Yeah, that would be a pretty important aspect of being a president of the United States. Wouldn't you assume being president of the United States would also include, like, you know, things, basic things that, you know, maintain our allyships with countries in which it makes sense to?
Sure. I think we're still allies with Canada, though. And if the president does it, I mean, isn't it presidential now?
Say that one more time.
If the president does it, then isn't it by definition presidential?
You
Like
know,
how many presidents?
I have a
how many
que- I-
presidents
I-
have to do it?
I have a question.
Uh,
Do you think there's anything a president could do that's not presidential?
Who? I would say in his personal life, yes. But like as an
Okay,
official
okay.
act of the
As an
president. No,
official, so if as an official act of the presidency, Donald Trump shot someone on Fifth Avenue, would that be presidential?
come on. So according to the Supreme Court, yes, but that is not something that would ever happen. That's just like a ridiculous hypothetical.
Can I have an answer to the question?
I, I think I did answer the question.
You know, it would also be a ridiculous hypothetical if I would have brought up to a Trump supporter in fucking 2016 that he was going to threaten to annex our neighboring countries. He was going to call for, literally war in Iran based upon weapons of mass destruction. That he wasn't going to drain the swamp. That he was going to call for the termination of the Constitution. They would think that's a wild hypothetical that will never happen. And you want to know something fucking insane? That's the fucking timeline that we live in. That is the timeline that we live in. A Republican voting for Donald Trump in 2016 would not have believed that would ever happen. Ever.
And you said that? You said
They
that
would
in
have said
2016?
no shot in the world, no chance, no possible nature of reality in which that happens because, there's checks and balances and, they can't go after the checks and balances. You know what I mean? Like the checks and balances, they keep everything real safe, real secure until they are violating due process rights, not listening to Supreme Court orders because the Supreme Court doesn't have an enforcement mechanism. So when he reduces the size, right, of the judicial,
And second,
right, that is
did you say that in
explicitly to make
2016?
him more powerful in the context of the executive. You were saying?
Shit. I cut out like a little bit. I heard Supreme Court's orders and then make it more powerful.
You know what? Is there anything else you'd like to talk about or add?
Wait. Um, I thought Biden did a good job with the domestic stuff, but foreign policy was nothing. So kind of another
Joe Biden would be better than
instance of,
Joe Biden would be better than Donald Trump here when it comes to this. Even though I think that Joe Biden's foreign policy, within plenty of circumstances, is disastrous. Like, I'm not going to disagree. I definitely have huge disagreements with Democrats' foreign policy, but like, I mean, when it comes to Donald Trump, like his foreign policy is atrocious. It's atrocious.
So Biden's domestic performance was good enough for me to have voted it for him in 2020. But when he dropped out and they picked Kamala, it was just 2016 all over again.
I'm sorry, you're fucking crazy. You would vote for Joe Biden, but you wouldn't vote for either Hillary or Harris?
Yep.
That gives, like, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. To me, that really gives misogyny. So could you clear that up? Because to me, that makes no fucking sense. I mean, Joe Biden was cognitively declined. Everyone can see it, right? Everyone acknowledges this. I called for him to step down before he did, right? And I will acknowledge those types of things. The fact that you're sitting up here and arguing that Joe Biden is a more qualified candidate than literally, in the state he is right now, than literally Kamala Harris is like the most insane fucking take ever.
Yeah, you're right. I kind of said that off the cuff, with the cognitive decline, it was true. And I was a little disappointed that he said he was going to be a transitional president, and he didn't. But I thought he was doing a good
that
job.
actually really pissed me off too. I'm not gonna lie. Biden's always been like he's better than Trump, but it's not like I'm really happy with Biden, And even in the 2020 primaries, even back then, before I've even changed in terms of my ideological beliefs and become more understanding in terms of my liberal views, right? Even then, like I was still against Joe Biden, and I still thought he was like fucking too moderate, right? Even then, do me think?
Yeah, but the fact that
Canadian, thank you so much.
Republicans actually had a primary, and the Democrats didn't.
I'm sorry. Do you think that the vice president wouldn't step up if the president steps down?
Yes, I think she would have.
That's exactly what happened. Joe Biden stepped down, and meaning if Joe Biden were to have been assassinated, there would not have been a primary, and she would have stepped up, right?
Yeah, so
So no
that's the
matter the
process.
process in which Joe Biden steps down, after the point in which he's been nominated, the person who would step up is the vice president, especially that close to the election. You have to understand that's how it would work if it were the Republicans as well. Push the hand it out.
So I don't think it was because like they didn't elect Mike Pence after Trump lost. They
Wait,
didn't
wait, wait, because
elect Biden.
Trump didn't drop out.
Yeah, so they didn't elect Biden after Obama was
Because
finished with his
Obama
second
didn't
term.
drop out.
Yeah, but his second term, so the most president or most qualified person would have been Joe Biden, right?
No,
Being the
I
vice
I
president,
still think
he would
Barack
have he
Obama is
would have
more
stepped
qualified
in.
than Joe Biden.
So yeah, he was more qualified, but after his second term, he couldn't run again. So the second most qualified person would have been Joe Biden.
Oh, that was Joe Biden's decision not to run in 2016.
Are you sure he didn't run in 2016?
Yeah, that his choice was not to run in 2016 because of what happened with his son.
Okay. A little bit of a tangent, but I hope I'm not misogynistic. 'Cause
No, it's just like
I didn't have an issue.
I just genuinely don't understand how you could say that you wouldn't support Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris over Donald Trump, but you would support Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Like that's just like genuinely like what the fuck? Like
Yeah, so I would
I
support
can't even
Kamala
fathom a genuine reason for that.
if it was like an election between them and they had both run, then I would have supported Kamala.
With Kamala versus Trump.
Yeah,
So
if she had made her positions known. But I think they did some interviews with her, and she had this thing where she couldn't really step away from Biden's policy, especially his foreign
wait,
policy. Or she was
she
active.
did make her positions known. So you're saying with the level of information that you have right now, if you could go back in time, you wouldn't vote for Donald Trump, you'd vote for Harris.
Mm, no, I don't think I'm saying that because I still don't really know her positions. It
What the
sounded like
fuck is this guy saying? Okay, what positions are
she
you
would have
not
done
clear on?
she would have done the same stuff as Biden.
She was advocating for a $6,000 child tax credit for the first year of a child's life, 3,600 through them being 5 years old, 3,000 through them being 18. There's a $2,000 cap on pharmaceuticals out of pocket, $35 cap on insulin for everyone, not just for people who are on Medicare. There was the limiting of medical debt on your credit so that it doesn't affect your credit. There was plenty of
Yeah, so
things.
Biden's good domestic policies,
Wait,
but
no,
the same.
I was giving examples of things that Harris was advocating for.
Yeah, yeah. So the good domestic
Like,
policies, just like Biden.
are you telling me you never looked up KamalaHarris.com?
I have.
Then you would have seen all of the policies.
I mean, so this was like 4 years ago when I looked it up, right? But
It didn't exist 4 years ago.
oh, yeah, it was. I guess I guess like 6 months ago then. But I don't really remember them. But yeah, I don't remember any of her forward policies. I remember that she went on an interview and she felt like she couldn't separate herself from Biden's positions.
I understand, but you voted for Joe Biden, so I'm confused how that specifically is going to be bad for you.
So I voted for. What do you mean I voted for Joe Biden? I mean I would have voted for Joe Biden.
So you didn't vote.
No, I did. I voted for Trump.
No, did you vote for Joe Biden
No.
in 2020?
Mm, okay, 2020 I did.
God, dude. What do you mean I voted Joe Biden? Dude, come on, bro.
Okay, was that a question? Yeah, I mean, like I said, I thought Biden was okay. Like he did what we needed after COVID. Good domestically, but I saw his foreign policy in action. Wasn't great. Went with a candidate.
Okay, everyone, I'm gonna go join Dean.